Hey, and thank you so much for clicking on my channel. My name is Melissa and I love to crochet. Also knitting, I love knitting too. If you watched part 1 and part 2 of my $5 market series, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you subscribed, thank you very much. I was able to get to over 1,000 subscribers, which means I can be monetized on YouTube now. And that's very exciting for me because I've been doing this for about a year now. And it's something that I really enjoy. I think a lot of crochet YouTube channels focus on amigurumi, and when I started, making plushies earlier this year after losing my corporate job, then, I really got my channel to more subscribers, so that was great. And, I'm still really enjoying it, and this is, my joy. I kind of treat it as like my full-time job right now, creating content and stuff, just because, it kind of is what I'm focusing on full-time right now. Welcome to part 3 of the $5 market series. I hope you guys enjoyed the first and the second part. I know a lot of you did, and that was great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you watching. Before we get started, something I want to address were all the trolls that came with, all those views on the first 2 videos. I had some people commenting rude things saying, learn how to crochet before you sell things. You're only in it for the money. I wouldn't sell that if I were you. It doesn't look that great. And honestly, if you don't have anything nice to say, click out of my video. Don't comment rude things on other people's videos. I'm doing this full time right now because I lost my job in January, and this YouTube and crochet is my joy. And if you're trying to diminish my joy, screw you. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Just click out of the video. If anybody else comments rude things, they will be hidden from my channel. So basically what happens when you hide people from your channel is they're the only ones who can see their own comments. Nobody else can see the comments. I can't see the comments, and they're just wasting their time like they did on the very first rude comment that they left. So my advice is don't waste your time. Simple as that. Now let's get back to my usual happy, fun, bubbly personality. If you do notice that my voice is a bit different, that is true. For some reason I'm losing my voice this week, and here we are. So here in part 3, we're going to count how many little $5 items I have. I have given away a few as gifts. We had some nephews' birthdays. I gave some to the neighbors for their grandkids, and I had a few friends comment after I posted like a little video about the ghosts saying, I want one. So I've sold a few so far to family, friends, neighbors, etc. I'm going to insert the clip of me counting all of the little $5 plushies next. So let's do that right now. So that number of 103 means that I have $515 worth of inventory for my $5 market day. And I feel like that's a pretty good number. Originally I said I wanted to go with $500 worth, but to make this part 3 series a little bit more interesting, and there are some that I do want to have more of. I don't want to have just all like one-off or 3 of each item type thing from testing them out for the $5 market series part 1 and part 2. As I hold up the wrong numbers. So I do want to make 17 more and get to $600 worth of inventory. Let's go over what I said yes to and what I feel like I want to make more of. You may notice from the lighting, it is a little bit later because honest to God, I had to go and watch part 1 and part 2 of this series because I couldn't remember what exactly I liked. I could have, of course, and I did pull up part, like the Canva page I created for yes and no's for part 1 and part 2. But I couldn't remember which ones I enjoyed making because some of them, of course, I said yes to, but I didn't like making them. But the yes was mainly towards, I think it's a good $5 item. I know some people, they don't start at $5. They start at like $8 or $10 or $12, and that's totally cool. It all depends on your demographic area and what you can sell. For me, that's $5. And I like to work in like denominations of 5. So after watching part 1 and part 2, I have gone to my yes list of part 1 and part 2 here on Canva. And I have decided to do 6 different patterns. I'm just going to make, I think maybe 3 more of each, because if I had to make 17 more and I pick 6 patterns, that's 2.83 of each. So I'll probably make at least 3 more of each. If I end up making extra, I end up making extra. Also at the end of part 2, I think I had said I had made 89 of the $5 items and only needed a few more. And as I said earlier in this video, I made 103. So that is because I got really addicted to making those little white ghosts. I think I made close to 20 of them. I'll put the picture here. I put the picture on Facebook, and that's where all my friends were, excited to buy some from me. Switching angles a bit more. Sorry for the mess in the background. That's just creative chaos, really. And, you know, the sun's going down in front of my window, so I'm gonna have a funny shadow. I'm half and half. I'm like the Phantom right now. Phantom of the Opera is one of my favorite movies. So the first one that I'm going to make more of, and I knew this in the back of my mind after all these, you know, days or weeks that it's been since part 1 and 2, is the stress balls. I really like this pattern, and remember I was saying in was it in part 1 or part 2? It was in part 2. In part 2, I was like, you know, I don't think people would gravitate towards these because there's so many cute little animals. But once I made them and I embroidered the eyes on and I felt them in my hands, I was like, I need to make more of these. And I have quite a bit of variegated yarn, and I really like the way it kind of worked up in the variegated yarn. And something that's fun about these little stress balls is you don't have to do only 24 stitches around. You can do any size that you want. So I plan on making more of those. Those might be something that I make more than 3 of, just because I know they're going to be addicting. The second one I want to do more of, and unsurprisingly, is the eggplants. I think they're hilarious still after, you know, these 2 weeks since part 1 and 2. I think they're funny, and I think a lot of adults, or, you know, even just like college age kids, are going to get a kick out of those. So I want to make a bunch more of those. I don't know if I can stick with 3 or 4. Again, I might make even more than that, just because crocheting is addicting, as we all know. The next one I have pulled out of, you know, all these patterns is a pineapple, and I really liked making those. They were so cute and small, and you don't have to make them pineapple color. Of course, you know, they're more recognizable as the yellow pineapple with the green stems, but I really like the little pink one I had made. It's kind of like a pink lemonade pineapple. And I don't know, I just think they're really fun to make, and I think they make really good bag charms. And honestly, I find a lot of adults, like 20 to 30-year-olds, they really gravitate towards like fruit themed things for like their bag charms. The next one I'm excited to make more of is the little mini stingrays. And I had 2 people comment on my video mentioning those specifically. So Jackie Schneider 7354 had said she loves making them because they always sell out, because little boys really gravitate towards them. And then I also had Connie the crocheter comment and say that to make them even quicker, she doesn't even do the white underside of the belly. She just, you know, does it with the full color. So I think I might make some with the full color and then some still with the white little belly. I worry if variegated yarn, like, it won't show up very well as a stingray. I mean, they get shaped really nice and you can like see it when you hold it. It's a stingray, but maybe not everybody would be able to tell. Something else I really enjoyed making were the little frogs from Mama Stitchetti, and I just really enjoyed making them. They were really cute and really small, and I really like the way they turn out in the end. They're like just like little palm frogs. And, you know, I was excited to do this series and find new patterns that I'm really going to love making. And honestly, that's one of them. I love frogs and toads. And I was the little girl at camp always picking up worms and anything slimy and frogs and toads and chasing the boys with them. My mom told me that story, well, told everybody that story at my wedding, but of course, you know, I knew that because it was me doing it. So I still love frogs, toads, etc. I do look forward to making more of those. I think I'm going to make some in different colors, not just green and browns and stuff. I think I'll make like some little pink frogs, maybe a purple one, you know, just a good variety. And after those 5 are finished, I'm going to see where I'm at for numbers, because the last one that I would add, if I added any more, would be the little axolotls. They were really cute. I didn't enjoy making them as much. I just found them pretty boring, and, you know, it just didn't excite me. Axolotls are still selling really well for me at the farmer's market. I have people come up and ask for them all the time, and, you know, that's exciting. So if I feel like I do need to add a few more things, even if I go over the $600 mark, I'm fine with that, because even after my $5 market day, I plan on taking whatever's left over in my $5 bin. I usually have a $5 basket anyway, so what doesn't sell at the $5 market day, even though it's going to sell out. So we'll see where I'm at after I do the first 5 guest patterns and see how many I do with those, because, you know, crocheting is addicting. I say I'm going to do, you know, 3 or 4 of each of them, but who knows? I'll probably end up doing more. Of the $5 items is my pineapples. I got 4 of them finished last night, and I like the way they turned out. I ended up doing some pink ones, like I said, and like a teal, what do you call it, stem. I looked up pink pineapple, just on Google or whatever, and it came up with pink pineapples. Like, they do exist, and when they're ripening, like on the vine, this is like the color of their stems. You should look them up, they're really pretty. I'll put in a little picture here, just because I thought they were so cute. So I did 2 yellow and 2 pink for this, so that's those 4 finished. I also have the little stress balls finished. I'm just embroidering the eyes on them tonight. So it's nice to keep crossing these off my list. The lighting in this clip might change just because there's some cloud cover and then there's not. Cloud cover, not. So I was able to get 4 of the little stress balls finished. So I did 2 with 24 stitches around. Here's the second smaller one. And then I also did 2 with 30 stitches around because I thought maybe the smaller ones would be good for kids, maybe some for adults. I mean, it doesn't matter who buys them really, but I just thought it'd be fun to do with 2 different sizes. And last night while I was watching Big Brother, I was able to finish 4 of the Mom Stitch Eddie frogs. So 4 frogs in 1 hour is pretty good. And I used size 18mm eyes. This one I need to embroider the eyes on just because I wanted to do some with embroidery. Well, I guess one with embroidery. My new favorite color, Peachy Keen or Peachy or something. And I did the slit eyes with this one just because that's what I had next to me and I thought it worked just fine. And this one from Bernat Blanket Patchwork. I just let it do its thing. So that was pretty awesome the way he turned out. I did start some stingrays this morning. I got 2 finished and I have to stuff them and weave in the ends. And then I want to do 2 more of those as well. I might do 5 in total just to get us to that 17 mark. We'll see what I end up doing for that. Quick change of scenery here. I had filmed me talking about these little eggplants that I finished, but somehow I accidentally deleted the clip. So I'm just gonna insert it here. I did get them finished. I still love this pattern. It's funny, it's hilarious, it's easy to work up. I did some eggplants that were longer and thicker and some that are shorter and skinnier, and also some that are like a bit more stout and thicker. So I did get them finished. I just have to insert this funny little clip right here. It's been about a week and a half, so it hasn't been, later that evening, but that's okay. It's just the way that life is sometimes. So I was able to finish up 4 more stingrays. So I really like this pattern. It's just so fun to work up. And I did I think 4 of these within 40 minutes, so about 10 minutes each. So here's this little one. And I did not do the white bottoms thanks to suggestions from a lot of commenters saying they just don't even fasten off the yarn and reattach it. They just go straight into the bottom to finish up. And I think they turned out really cute. Adorable. I did not put any eyes on any of these just because I didn't. So we'll see if people know what they are when I do the $5 market day. I'm definitely not at the inventory mark of $700 only because very, very unfortunate. My next door neighbor passed away just yesterday, very unexpected. And the day before, I was over chatting with them and stuff, and it was super unexpected. And she had asked me to make her some of those little white ghosts that I had been making. These ones here, she thought they were so cute because I had posted them on Facebook and she had been watching my YouTube channel, and I'll miss her forever. She had asked me to make her some of these, and then this morning while everybody was over at the funeral home for, the next day type thing, I took a bunch over. I put a little note with it saying that, Nana had asked me to make her one of these to give to all of you, and I want you guys to have them. I do have some other $5 items, like that's in my usual $5 bin, so I'm just going to use those instead of, just making some more just for this $5 day. There you have it. I think I'm good with the inventory mark I'm at right now, supplementing from that other $5 thing that I already have. The next up, I'm going to do the mock setup. That'll be in a few days. I want to wait till the end of the week. Everybody's still grieving, of course, because it just happened yesterday. And I don't want to be out in our driveway. We don't share a driveway, but I don't want to be out in my driveway while they're over there grieving and just having a hard time. I'm having a hard time with it too. She was probably one of my best friends. A really rough 24 hours. She was a constant in my life and we talked every day and I loved her very much. She was like a mother to me. Unfortunately life has to go on. It's now time for the $5 market day. I think I'm gonna go on Saturday this week. Today is Thursday. I could have went today, but Thursdays are a bit slower and I didn't want to take the risk of losing money. So we're gonna do the mock setup here today in the carport. And yes, there used to be a window over there. It was closed in before we moved in. So yes, there is a variance in the bricks in case you noticed that right away. Also, there's probably some dirt on my shoulder, on my back there, because when I open up our 1960s garage, it's a very heavy door and I have to use my shoulder. So just FYI. And I brushed it off as much as I could. So here we are in my carport. It's double wide, so it is a bit of an echo. I apologize if you can hear all the wildlife and the bugs, but there's nothing I can do about those. Okay, so I have my table. I'm assuming that I'm going to be able to get everything on one table and still make it look okay because, $5 plushies are really small, as we all know. But I want to see what display pieces that I have work best. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out all my display pieces from my garage and show them to you, and then we'll decide from there. First up, we have this very heavy, I think it's cast iron, towel rack. It was originally gray. I just spray painted it, and of course the paint has chipped a little bit. But I usually hang my baby safe Della Ducks on here, or baby Della Ducks on here, and my tiny teddies. I use a shower curtain hook and I hang them up top here, and I usually have a bucket down here full of whatever. Sometimes axolotls, sometimes love cats. So my thought with this piece was, keyword was, to, you know, put some of the $5 items already on keychains on here. But then I thought, you know what, people are gonna assume those are also $5. So I really want to charge an extra $1 for the keychain bits rather than, you know, losing out the 40 cents or whatever it is to make the keychain pieces. So the wire ring and then the little carabiner clips. So that was my thought there. So I don't feel like I should hang anything for that reason. This next piece is something I thrifted just the other day. It's wooden, it's heavy, it needs a cleaning. But I thought, you know what, it's really cute and it's gonna add some height to my table. So I figured I could put some plushies in there. Maybe 2 of them in each, or maybe 1 in each, depending on the size. Next up, we have the only piece in my display that was not thrifted. This is a 3-tier basket thing I got from Amazon. There's 3 small baskets on the bottom, 1 large in the middle, and then a medium one up top. I probably will end up using this to add some height. Next up, another recently thrifted piece. This is an antique sewing caddy. I've been looking for one of these since forever, and I finally found one. And then it's a pretty deep pocket at the bottom. Up top is more shallow, but that's okay because it is really nice and it works well. And when I do go to the farmer's market with like my regular plushies, not the $5 items, I usually put cows up top and then some axolotls down at the bottom, or maybe some dinosaurs. Next up is this really ugly piece of plastic thing. It's like a shoe rack. I probably won't end up using it, but that is an option. Next up, we have this cabinet sorter type thing. I had bought it from a local thrift store. Originally, there was a glass panel on here, and I couldn't stick my hand through it. Like this top piece here had a glass panel, but luckily that fell out. It did not break or anything. It just kind of like came out one day, and I was like, yay! Because I don't like using glass, obviously, at markets. So a lot of the times I do just leave this closed because I put like taller plushies in here, so like caterpillars or my brontosaurus. So this is gonna be a maybe. We're just gonna have to see if I have any tall $5 items. Next up, we have this adorable thing. I had found it recently at a thrift store, and I don't think it's handmade. I think it is like mass manufactured, but it's still thrifted. So I have been putting cows in here because it looks like a little barn in a way. So I think this will work well for $5 plushies. This really large basket is something I usually have my $5 plushies in. This is the one that I set on the ground and allow people to dig through. This is the biggest basket that I have. I cannot take credit for this next one. I've seen Wonder Crochet, Allison, do this on her channel. She got these little chairs from Michael's when they were on sale, like, you know, after spring, summer. That collection goes on sale for like 80% off, and I was able to find 2 of them. They also had those little like lawn chairs left, but I just didn't like the look because they were all scratched up, but these were in great condition. And I have been putting plushies on these at markets, mainly caterpillars, like a standing chickie I put on there, and it does bring attention, so that's pretty fun. So these will be in the maybe pile. We're just gonna have to see what we have. Next up, we have this cute little basket. It's hand painted by someone, possibly a child. It has little hearts on it. And I just thought it was cute. I think I got it for like $2 at our local thrift. So it's not super deep, but it's pretty deep for like a small plushie. That's also in the maybe pile, but it is really cute and it does get attention at my markets. My next display piece is this wicker planter box. I do use it quite a bit actually at my markets, but what I end up doing with it is turning it upside down and putting the little chairs on there. It does add height, and I can put plushies in front of this as well then. So that does work out quite nicely because it just elevates the chairs a bit more, literally and figuratively. The next display pieces I do use quite a bit are my dollar store baskets. I have a purple, pink, and a blue. The blue is in my market bag right now, holding some turtles. I guess these aren't thrifted then, so I lied earlier when I said the only thing that wasn't thrifted was the gold basket, so I guess that's a lie. I have one large apple basket. This one is really huge, and I use this probably at every market because what I do is at the corner of my table, like it's always at the corner of my table, and then to the jellyfish I connect my clear shower curtain hooks, and I hang them off this basket. So then the tentacles blow in the wind, and then I always put that at the very front of the booth so it draws people in. So I do use this every single market. I don't know if I'll use it this time just because we're not doing the jellyfish this time. Next up are these big blue bins, baskets, plastic tubs. I did thrift these, so they do count as thrifted. They're originally from the dollar store, so they still have the tags on them, but there was 2 one day at the thrift store, and I was like, you know what, I might use them, I might not. And I have used them. I think in the early summer I used these for some turtles and then some axolotls. But basically I put all the $15 items in here one day, and that worked out nicely because I had a little sign on them saying $15 in the blue bucket. And then lately I have been using just one on the ground for all of my caterpillars because I recently had made like 20 of them. And it's getting down there in numbers, so the bucket is dwindling, but it does work out nice. Like everyone else out there who does markets, I have these wooden crates. These are not from Michael's, these are handcrafted by a local gentleman, and he sells them for $5 each. So I had got 3 of them from him originally. Probably will end up using these because, you know, they add good height. I can't stack them 3 tall though because of the wind at the market. It's in a very like open area and just the wind knocks them over and they're heavy. Next up is my absolute favorite piece. I had got this from a garage sale earlier in the summer. I was driving to a market and somebody had a sign up saying estate sale, and that's one of 2 of my favorite words. So he only had 1 wicker piece and I was like, yes. And I got there just when he was setting up because it was early in the morning, so that was amazing. Otherwise it would have been gone. And it's so funny because almost every market I've had it at, people want to buy it from me. And honestly, I probably could sell it to somebody for like $100, even though I paid 10. Because people ask about it all the time, especially when I'm taking things down. They see it on the table, they're like, how much for that? I'm surprised you didn't sell it today. I was like, well, it's actually part of my display and I won't sell it. Next up is another beautiful wicker piece, and I have never taken this to the market. It's a little bit more fragile, just because this is meant to hang on a wall. There are some pieces on it that are broken, so it is a little bit fragile, you can see there. I do want to take it because of the size of it, and I do think like little $5 items would look so cute on this little shelf. That's probably a yes, but if I can use other items easier, then this is a no. So I guess it's a maybe. After double checking, those are all of my display pieces. So what I want to do next is grab everything that I definitely want to take and put it on the table, and then we'll start putting plushies on the table just to see how it looks and if we'll add any other display pieces. Also, I'm sorry for the sound of the cicadas. Apparently they want to be loud this morning. So here's all the pieces I would really like to use. So over here we have the gold basket tiger thing, and then the wooden crates, the small bathroom wicker shelf, the cubes, a little barn looking thing, and then the antique sewing caddy. That one obviously is not fitting very well on the table, but we'll see where we're at once we get all plushies onto the table. For the sole purpose of this video, I just transferred some of the $5 plushies into this basket for now, and I still have a bunch more. I just don't want the bag crinkling in the video because it's really loud. Also, I grabbed the little green chairs and I put them up here. They look really good, but you can't really see them against the red brick, so just FYI. And with those, I plan on putting obviously like larger plushies on there. So that little bear I said looks like a mouse. You can go up there, and his little companion. And of course, when the time for market day comes, I might move things around. I just want to get a feel of what fits best in each of these display pieces. So of course the barn looking thing up here, I want to put like farm animals. So here's a piggy. And I think honestly, it kind of goes without saying that I want to put similar items close to each other. So like the stress balls, these are the ones that I had made extra of for inventory purposes. I would like them to be on a shelf together. But of course, you know, there's so many different patterns that we had tried during the week 1 and week 2 of this series that, you know, there is a really big variety of things. And of course I do have lots of table space left. So I know a lot of these are going to end up right on top of the table, which is fine. I think these bears, like these loaf bears, would look really good in those cubes, but I only have a few of these. So if I had 9, then yeah, absolutely they'd be good in that cubes. But since I only have, I think 2 or 3, I do have to keep in mind the wind at the market because of it being a big open space. Whoosh. It just depends where the wind is coming from, like what direction it's coming from. One of my thoughts here is to have the one-off items. Remember there were some where I made and I was like, I just don't like it, I'm not gonna make anymore. One-off items I think should be on the table because they don't have a companion. Because I had tested so many jellyfish patterns, I think you can put the jellyfish all in here because they are gonna look pretty cool within this thing. I had made like 25 bees because I can't remember what yarn it was. I think it was Bernat Blanket Patchwork and Citrus Splash. And also Peachy, I had a bunch of scraps. So I made like 25 bees out of those. So I think for the bees, what I'm gonna end up doing is just grabbing one of my smaller little basket containers and putting all the bees in one, just because there is so many. And you may remember me saying these little flower babies I would not sell for $5, but I think because I have so much inventory right now, I'm still gonna sell these for $5. But if I made them again, I would not sell them for $5. Currently, this basket is full of ghosts, so I'm gonna set it aside for now. I did not realize how many bears I had. So like these little bears up here and then these bears up here. So there is quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 standing bears, which would fit nicely in there in the cubes. And of course, when I'm at the market and things start selling, I can start rearranging things too. So right now I have the 7 bears and the 9 cubes. Of course, it's not full, but it's full enough with bears right now. So you may remember this goose. He is a one-off item. I was kind of hoping one of my nephews and my nieces would take this one when we did like family gathering and I did prizes, but nobody chose this, but that's okay. So now that I moved those flower babies, they'll fit really well up here. They're so cute. I missed 2 bears, so that's gonna fill out those cubes, so that's fun. Another one-off item was this puppy. Okay, my next thought here is I want to keep all the frogs together. The ones that were, you know, like, not exciting. I didn't like them that much. I have them on this shelf right now. Of course, they're a little squished because of how many there are. But remember, I had made a bunch of these Mom Stitch Eddie frogs. I love these so much. And I've made a few more since then, but they've sold. I might have to end up moving the frogs because of how many there are. Okay, so we still have some room on our table, which is great. Of course, we still have the ghosts, and I also do have some little mini kittens that I haven't even shown you yet. So this is where the difficult part comes in for my brain. It's like, okay, you're running out of space, but you want to keep things in a collective. How do you work it, you know? Especially when you have multiples of certain items. So I do only have 3 of these little axolotls. I enjoyed making them, I just never made any more. And they are actually pretty heavy enough to, I think, not blow. I mean, like they'll fall down in the wind, but they're heavy enough to put up top and they're squat. And of course, I may have to rearrange everything when it comes to market day, depending on the wind. But I do like how much height I have right now. So that's really helpful. In case you're wondering, my table's not usually this tall. There is a little bit of a sidewalk underneath me, or underneath the table right here. Now I'm gonna move on to the amigurumi stress balls, the ones that I made extra of because I love them so much. I know they won't stay in a pyramid, especially when kids start bumping the table, but for now they look cute like that. I do think that I can get away with keeping the antique sewing caddy on my table because when people are facing my table like this, they'll be able to see into it. So I don't really have a concern there. And the people who come walking up from that side of the table, they will still be able to see it. Okay, so we still have this cube over here, but my thought next is the stingrays that I made. They can go in like this gold tier thing with the octopi and the jellyfish because, you know, they're sea creatures. There's 7 manta rays in total. And then my one-off items. I have the puppy, and I don't mind putting things in front of the stress balls. I kind of feel like stress balls would be sold to adults rather than little kids, because kids are, and it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm very excited to see what kids gravitate towards and what adults gravitate towards. I'm very much a psychology person. I actually have my social service work diploma, and I love studying psychology, even on my free time. So one-off items are the puppy. I have 1 alien. The other 2 have sold for $10, but this one I'm just gonna put in the $5 table. It is nice to have a variety too. The goose. And that brings us to all my pineapples and eggplants. You know how much I love those. So I'm surprised about how many I have. I didn't think I had this many. I thought maybe I had like 10, but let's count them. So it looks like I have 8 pineapples and 7 eggplants. My thought process here isn't there. I'm scrambling now in my brain because we still have the mini kitties to put up here and also all the ghosts, and there's quite a few of each of those. And of course we still have the bees as well. Let's pull out this cute little thing. I think these ones, they might be tall enough. The eggplants for sure. Okay, I don't necessarily like the look of the pineapples and the eggplants together, just because I think that's a little confusing. So I can take the pineapples out and I can put all the eggplants in here. And then once the eggplant starts selling, I could switch this over to pineapples. So I think that looks pretty good. And then the green actually matches the basket. So that's pretty cool. So now the question is where to put this. I think I'm gonna put it right in front of the antique sewing caddy. You can't see it right now, but that's okay. So I have all these mini kitties that we still have to put out on the table. And I think they will work well in the antique sewing caddy because they are lighter in weight and I don't want them to blow away off the table, but the antique sewing caddy is very heavy because it's solid wood. I was able to fit all of those in there except for 2, and that's okay because they're duplicate colors of what I have up here. So I think that looks pretty good. So I have some, of course, facing this way, and then I have some facing the other way as well. So as I said earlier, not everything has to go on the table right away. For example, I have all these ghosts, and a lot of them are like duplicate. They're the same. But then, of course, there are some that are unique. So here's one in purple ombre. And I have some out of the fluffy flex. I have some with blush. I have some made out of the sweet snuggles. Of course, I have some with embroidered eyes. And I have one with sleepy eyes. I love the sleepy eyes. They're my favorite on plushies. And then I have 9 left in the basket. I'm gonna keep these on the table. I mean, if I need to fill more space on the table, I can always add these. This is a bag of other $5 items. These are not included in the playlist series I'm doing right here. These are $5 items that I've been taking to markets forever, and they're just, you know, smaller items. So I do have some mini kitties in here as well. And it's so funny because sometimes little kids will walk up and they'll want a pink kitty or a purple kitty. They don't want kitty colors, they want like fun colors. So I usually try to make some out of scraps as well. So this little kitty's out of the color Mini Succulents by Bernat Blanket. I did a neon kitty who's angry. I have one orange kitty. I have one blue kitty. One black cat with white pupils. I have one rainbow fluffy flex kitty with white pupils. I have a blue kitty made out of the frosting yarn. And one kitty made out of Peachy. I think that's what this yarn is called. It's one of my new favorites. And in this bag, I already have some bag charms made up. What I do plan on doing is taking everything, like the little keychain bits off of these and putting them on the table. I would really love to sell these whales. I've had them since forever. It feels like anyway, and I give them out as gifts to friends when I see my friends. Those and also gummy bears. I just cannot sell gummy bears. Sometimes I take like white yarn with me and then I'll just, you know, embroider little eyes on them quickly. What I have been doing is I've been asking my booth neighbor. I usually have a different booth neighbor each week. I say, please pick a number for me between 1 and 25, or 2 numbers. And then whoever purchases that transaction, so like number 17, for example, they get a free keychain, and I always pick the keychain first and I make sure it's a gummy bear. So if you can't sell things, just do that for your customers. It's something fun and it makes people's day. I always get a fun reaction with that. And also in here I have like some little velvet yarn pieces with the fun mini kitty colors. What I think I'm going to do is I'm gonna move the ghosts probably over to this little crate over here. Maybe the stress ball's there, and then the ghosts over here, so the ghosts like are forefront, and put all the mini kitties over here with the bears and the other kitties. So I still have to put out the bees, one of my smaller buckets, because they don't fit very well in here, and people are gonna be rifling through them. I don't want them falling. They do fit in here pretty good, so that's nice. Right now I have the bees in the bucket over here, and I feel like that's fine because the stress balls are over there. And I feel like kids are going to gravitate towards the animals. It's so funny because every time there's a little kid rifling through the $5 regular items, it's always a mini kitty that sells. But on this $5 market day, I'm so excited to see what gets chosen and by what age range ish. So because I have these standing kitties, there's only 4 of them, I'm going to take them out of here and put them with the other regular mini kitties over on this side of the table. And then I'm going to move my pineapples up here. And I think that looks pretty good. The only things I would have left to add would be my regular $5 items, but as I said, I want to take the bag, charms, / keychain thingies off of them. So let me give you a full look at the booth space. And of course, I'll be using a tablecloth, so it's not going to look like this. So we have the mini kitties in the antique sewing caddy. And then we have the eggplants in this cute little basket. More kitties. So here are the laying down kitties that we had tested. I think they were called long cats or something. And then more of the regular mini kitties in fun colors. Here's our one-off items there. We have all the bears in here, the pigs up there, flower babies up there. They look so cute. Frogs, Mom Stitchetti frogs. Those are all the same, the ones with the cute little floppy legs. I have some more bears right there. Those are the loaf bears, ghosts, pineapples, 3 axolotls. I thought I made a purple one, but I just might be crazy. Who knows? Amigurumi stress ball. And here we have the sea creatures. So we have the octopus, manta rays, some more octopus, more manta rays, jellyfish, etc. And then the bees. So I think that looks really nice. So when people walk up to my booth at the market, I will have a sign, of course, and I'll show you that sign in just a second. So I think we have a good variety of items, and of course the black tablecloth is going to look a lot more sharp. And I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm excited to see what age range, leans towards what, and if I sell anything to adults, etc., etc. I'm sure I will, because I usually do, especially bag charms. And of course I'll have a little sign saying, pay an extra $1, make it a keychain. I feel that mock setup went really well, and I'm excited to do the $5 market day tomorrow. Today is Friday. In the meantime, I made sure that my puppy dog had a friend over this afternoon just to wear out some energy and have some fun. And while they were roughhousing and playing and, doing as puppies do, I made 10 chickens. It's not something I make all the time. I usually make a different pattern where they have a bit more of a head, but you know what, I thought just for the $5 market day, I would use up some scraps and just make these little chickens. And they seem to sell well at the farmer's market. I have made these in the past and they sold out really quickly. I don't know, I just don't enjoy making them. That's 10 to add to our market table for tomorrow. Once we were finished my mock setup yesterday, I reached out to my neighbor, and she's a school teacher, and I had said, you have 10 minutes to help a neighbor out. I had said my penmanship is absolutely horrendous, and it always has been because ADHD. And I had said, I have some Bristol board here that I would really love for you to help me with a sign. And I had said, it's gonna be super simple. I just need, it to look nice. So I went over there after she had said yes, and I had said I wanted it to say $5 each, today only. So she made this for me, so that was really nice. I provided the markers and the Bristol board and the words, and I had said, just have fun with it. Said, if you wanna do all 4, you're welcome to. If you wanna do just 1, that's great. So she did this one for me. She's a busy gal, so I was so appreciative of that. This is where I'm going to end this video, part 3 of my $5 Market Makes series. I will, of course, update with part 4 of how everything went, and I'm hoping I can get just some clips from when I'm at the market. It does get quite busy, so I don't know if I will be able to, and I don't like filming in front of other people, so I am excited to see, what age range chooses this, if any people opt for the $1 extra for the, to make it a bag charm or a keychain, etc. Maybe there will be one $5 plushie theme, like bears or those little chicky ducks. Maybe they won't even sell. Maybe people won't pay attention to them. And that's the interesting part out of all of this, to me anyway. I love psychology and just seeing what people lean towards at markets, and if things sell well than others, if some things don't even get looked at, or if somebody says why would I want a stress ball when I could have a little chicken type of thing. So we'll see. I'm not sure how it's gonna go, but I'm excited either way. It's gonna be weird selling only $5 items. If you've watched any of my videos before, I always end with the same saying / mantra. So as always, please remember that you are strong, you are beautiful, you are loved, and the world appreciates having you here.